As a mage, you'll be healing allies and dealing damage to enemies in Dragon's Dogma 2. This class is all about support, buffs, and essentially just hanging around while your pawns do all the work. Let's cover the best skills, augments, how to unlock the Maester training, and more for the mage. Let's go. Let me know in the comments if you prefer the mage or the sorcerer. So the mage itself is unlocked automatically, and it is a backline support healer for the most part, but you can do some really solid damage with some of its damage orientated spells. But really their primary role is support, right? You'll either be buffing your allies by imbuing their weapons with elemental damage, healing them directly, or adding other effects to them. The heavy attack for the mage is an AoE heal that will linger for a few seconds. Now, you should actually pop this on your melee characters, like don't just pop it on yourself, as they will essentially just like run over to you to heal themselves when they need it, which can get a little bit tricky in tougher fights, so just make sure you put that away from where you're planning to stand. The other unique ability for the mage is actually shared with the sorcerer, and that is quick spells. So essentially a core component of the mage's kit is building up these skills and casting these spells, right? And that does take time. Now with quick spell, by pressing R1 or RB, you can increase the speed that these spells actually cast, so they cast much quicker. You'll essentially always want to do this, although it does consume more stamina, and stamina management is one of the hardest things for the mage, as you very quickly run out, as even if you've got stamina left, you can then actually cast the spell and it'll consume the stamina needed to actually cast that spell, and it'll just put you down to 0. So you've got to be really careful about your stamina management as a mage, as you will be very stamina hungry, but there are ways that we can mitigate that, which we'll discuss in this video. So let's talk about the skills and augments here. Now, there's a couple of things really to think about. The mage has a lot of flexibility here. We'll start with some damage stuff. You have a couple of options here, really, from Flagration to Levin and Frigor, as well as Empyrean, but I would suggest to you to run either Levin or Frigor, because Flagration is sort of like flamethrower hands. You have to be close to an enemy, which you don't really want to be as a mage. I personally like Levin because it's like a spammable lightning, right? You can continue to cast this and consume your stamina and just like spam it, and especially if you knock over the larger enemies, you can just pop this on them and just consume your entire stamina bar spamming this on them. Frigor is a really good stagger as well, like definitely worth using. You can sort of climb it as well. Now, Empyrean is really unique for the mage. It's one of the only holy attacks in the game, and it is exceptional at destroying the night creatures. So I really highly recommend running this on your mage, because you know some of those night creatures can be a little tricky, and it will like absolutely melt them. It's really good for that. Now, you've also got some of the ally healing spells, right? You can use spells here that will remove status effects from your allies, or Argent Tonic that will just heal allies as well, or Celeratory, which will increase their speed for allies that are actually standing within its circle. Celeratory isn't great because it is sort of a small AoE. The Argent Tonic you'll definitely want to run to heal allies. It's really important to do that. But you'll also be looking to grab at least one, maybe two of the boons from the fire, ice, and lightning. Now, all of these are good. It is really up to you which ones you want to run. Lightning is great for wet weather, and same as ice, right? You increase the effectiveness of those during wet weather. Obviously, fire doesn't. And enemies have certain weaknesses. You can listen to your pawns, as they'll often tell you what the enemy's weakness is. So it is good to have different damage types on your mage from these different types, so you can then be using the relevant type for these. Now, if you are thinking of playing the mage yourself, you should probably run 1 to 2 damage, and then the rest being support spells, right? Having that good balance. Now, if your pawn is actually your mage, if you're watching this thinking about what to do with your pawn, I would be running all support for your pawn with Empyrean because of its uniqueness, right? So you'd be running, let's say, 2 of the boons from, let's say, Ice and Lightning, Empyrean, and then probably the Argent Tonic as like the heal there, right? So you've got that balance, as the support focus is really the key aspect of the mage, and that's why you would run them as a main pawn. But also for yourself, right, if you're playing them, it can be a little bit like, I don't want to say boring, but like just constantly buffing your allies doesn't give me the satisfactory juices in combat, if you know what I mean. So that's why I prefer to run a couple of damage spells for my mage, so I can actually deal some impact to the enemies. For your core skills here, you'll obviously grab all of these, the main one being quick spell, which we touched on earlier. You'll essentially use this all the time, except when you are running low on stamina. So just make sure you are keeping an eye on your stamina. Levitate is just as good too, because you can essentially allow yourself to like levitate for a period of time. You can use this to climb things. Your allies will also do this, like pawns can also use it as well. It is very valuable to get to certain areas to unlock certain hidden chests. For the augments here, there's a couple of good ones, but like none of them are super critical. Like Beatitude increases the amount of healing you do for curatives and curative magics. Perpetuation increases the duration of enchantments and invigorations, so that being like your elemental infusions. Exaltation for your stamina recovery speed is absolutely fantastic, because we've already talked about why stamina is important, and that's also why the archer's endurance is important to increase your overall max stamina. And you could also run Thief's Subtlety to reduce the chance of being attacked by enemies, as well, as you essentially don't want to be attacked as a mage, right? It definitely helps for that. The Vocation Maester here is a really annoying one, I'll be honest. So Eni's home is the Vocation Maester, and they're sort of northwest of the Border Watch outpost. Now, you will need to talk to them when their parents aren't around. The first time you go there, there'll be a cutscene. You'll sort of have to either wait for them to leave or like carry them outside or something, and then she'll tell you about this quest to find 5 grimoires. Now, you only actually need to find 3, and they're very specific grimoires. There are multiple copies of all 5 of them in the game, so you may already have some anyway, but what I'll do is I'll tell you where you can get 3 of them very easily. The first is actually in the checkpoint rest town from her father. At the very top of the rest town, he does have a house there. Now, you need to be careful about sneaking in here. You can use your levitate to sneak in up the top, and sitting on the table there is one of these books. You can get another one from, actually in the main quest, from the magistrate. When you talk to him in the cell, if you talk to him again after he tells you he's looking for a bookstore, he'll actually give you one of these. And the last one you can get in Melve by talking to the vendor that actually stands near the entrance. If you talk to him, he actually has one of these books for sale. Now, before you go back to Eni, you need to create forgeries of these 3 books, because you will need them for the Sorcerer's Maester training as well. So before you do that, go back to the checkpoint rest town, or if you're already there, go to the scrap store and create forgeries of the 3 books. Now, make sure you pay attention to the names here, as they will change, and the description will say if it's the forgery or the real one. You need to give the real ones to Eni back at her house near Border Watch. So head back there. If her parents are there again, or sorry, grandparents, you just pick them up, carry them outside, and then you can give her the 3 books, and she'll then ask you, she'll be like, oh, do you want to collect the rest? You just say, nope, I do not want to do that. And then she'll complete the quest, and then you'll need to leave and like pass time. Now, for me, I just went out to the campfire, slept a couple of days. Just be mindful, this area is littered with enemies, so you'll probably be attacked and raided if you do sleep here. But essentially, after that point, an event will trigger, and avoiding spoilers in case you don't want them, you'll need to save her by tackling her during that event, right? Don't kill her, and then she'll need to rest again, and then you'll need to go and rest yourself, and then return there again, and she will then give you the Maester training. It's a little bit complex, and I've tried to avoid as much spoilers as possible, but essentially that's all the main information you need to know in order to be able to unlock this Maester training. Now, this does give you the Celestial Pian skill, and this summons a wave of holy light that both hastens the stamina recovery and the speed of allies who touch it, while reducing their damage taken. Really, really good support skill, except it has a really long wind up time in order to be able to use it. So essentially here, it is worth having, especially on a main pawn, because of the benefits you get. Like, let's say, let's say you're playing as a fighter or a warrior, what have you, you're using a bunch of stamina. Having this active will then obviously buff them and reduce the damage taken, but you yourself, I wouldn't necessarily recommend running it, because it does have such a long wind up time. The best equipment here for the mage, really, you will get a really good stuff from this quest, and other than that, I would be going to Arbor, the Elven village, as there is a bunch of good weapons and armor for mages and sorcerers here. You should be upgrading them in Arbor as well, because you get additional magic on top of that, so definitely go there and do that. For your rings, you want the Ring of Precipitous to boost your magic, and the Ring of Articulancy to slightly reduce the time taken to incant spells, so it sort of works as essentially a mini quick spell. A couple of quick tips here: you need to have at least a 1 melee fighter or warrior in your party to protect you, preferably 2 melee characters to keep the pressure off you. If things are pressuring you, using the 2 me command can really help get them away from you. You should also be carrying some stamina food here for the instant stamina regen when you do run out or you're close to running out. You can quickly pop that to heal your stamina back up very quickly. I'd also say here that if you prefer the mage sort of playstyle, but you want to damage rather than support, definitely switch to the sorcerer, right? There is some overlap in their skills. Also, like using the augments from each of these will be beneficial, right? So having both leveled up is definitely a good idea. But if you prefer the more damage focus, definitely go sorcerer. But if you like the support aspects of the mage, then stay the mage. But thank you guys for watching this video till the end. I will have the sorcerer video coming for you very soon for you sorcerer fans out there as well. But thank you guys for watching this video till the end. Thank you to our members for supporting the channel. My name is Norza, and I hope you have a great day.